Hi everybody, what's up tech lovers? We are back and this time we are with Miss Aleta Jeffress. She is CIO and head of digital,
Digital officer.
digital
Yeah.
officer and for the city of Aurora. So you have a super important job. Can you tell us a little bit about your day to day?
Oh, sure. So, I work with about 20 lines of business when you think about a city and all the things that encompass a city. So, my IT group supports all of their business needs, all of their technology needs, desktop support. So, it really ranges from it could be a business conversation where we need to talk about security or we need to talk about a specific piece of software, all the way to working with the rec centers where their request could be that we need to set up an escape room because that's a new offering for one of our new rec centers. So there's a pretty broad span of what I could work on in any given day.
So it's never boring?
It is not boring.
And I saw that you recently did an initiative to kind of change how the city was viewing the culture around security. So how did you go about enacting that?
Well, security is kind of an art, right? People really think of security as here's compliance or here's these list of things that you need to make sure work and everybody's locked down and all those types of things. But to me, it is really more of an art form because you need to balance the risk between the business and what they can be able to do versus what security requires just as their way of doing business. So it's a lot of education. It's really education, it's evangelism. So ensuring that we train all of our end users and all of our employees about what basic security is. And then it's me doing a lot of conversations and my chief information security officer doing a lot of conversations with different directors and managers, city management, right, to just educate them about the impacts and the risks and then what makes sense for our business.
And now, obviously, you are an executive in the tech space. How did you get here? What do you attribute your success to?
I really attribute my success to the fact that I always took a risk. It wasn't all laid out. Beth talked about that this morning, right? That there's a lot of different paths to where you get there. I don't have a computer science degree. I didn't have any technology degree when I went into technology. But I think conceptually there are people who kind of have that bent or kind of get that, right? And so I actually started out in a call center. I worked my way through software companies for a variety of years and then got into infrastructure when I went to work for public sector. And so kind of evolved from that. So it's really just been about being willing to have the conversation, being willing to be educated on things I didn't know about, and being willing to fill the niche between business and technology. A lot of technologists don't really want to have the business conversation, right? So I was willing to have the business conversation and kind of connect the two, kind of connect those dots. So that's really how I continued to take on different roles and pursue different things as I moved further up in management.
And what advice do you have for other women in technology?
Be patient, be the voice of reason, be willing to be outside your comfort zone. Technology is it constantly changes, so you have to be willing to keep up with it. Ask those people who know what they're talking about, so be okay with that conversation, be willing to take the risk. It's really just some core things. Be willing to take the risk, be willing to ask questions, and be willing to put yourself out there a little bit as here's the value that I bring to this situation, because your value might not be like all the techie stuff that's going on, but your ability to maybe have the conversation between tech and business or be able to lead a group of people who really just need the structure and the leadership. They might not need you technically to bring something to the table, but they definitely need that direction and management.
And then you said that when you first started in tech, you didn't have a background in tech.
Right.
So what was your first experience with technology?
So I ended up in a software company out of college because my roommate's sister worked there.
Nice.
So that's how I got into technology, right? Totally intentional. But really worked in a call center for a number of years and then worked my way through software companies. So I worked in a call center, which was great experience. I did training, I did quality, I did product management.
Touching all points.
Yes, really kind of went across the board. So you kind of figure out what your passion is then that way, I think. And again, just kind of moved around different companies and ended up in kind of different verticals and did some consulting for a while. So yeah, just kind of really was very broad in what I was willing to learn and undertake.
Wonderful. And as a Chief Information and Digital Officer, what would you say your leadership style is? How do you inspire your teammates and your employees?
I I really believe in empowering my team. I'm not a micromanager, so I want to make sure that I set a great example personally, but then I really want to invest in my team and make sure that if they have concerns or obstacles that I'm available to remove those, but at the same time I want to make sure they're educated and they have the opportunities and they have the ability to drive their team. So I'm always available to them, to my direct reports, or really anybody in my department if they need anything. And so really just enabling them to do their job. Most people want to come in, they want to do a great job. So if you create that environment for them, most of the time they take it.
And are you big on mentorship?
I am. Right now I mentor 5 people,
nice.
some inside my organization and some outside my organization. And I've just found that that's a great way to connect on a different level, right? So I think sometimes as you advance through your career, you kind of forget what you know and how valuable that can be to somebody who hasn't experienced that or is trying to figure out how to work their way through that experience. So it's really rewarding to be able to have a conversation with them and have them be able to benefit from that and have takeaways and be able to implement ideas, right? And it's just great to know that you're empowering somebody else to be successful.
And I mean, being at the Women in Tech conference, that's pretty empowering. It's pretty exciting. What's been your favorite part?
You know, listening to Beth was just fabulous. I'm about 2/3 of the way through her book. I didn't make it quite all the way before the conference, but you know, just you could just see in her presentation, right? She was ambitious, willing to take risks, willing to do things that were kind of out of the box all along her career. And then also she took the time to be reflective of that. Maybe not at the time, at the moment, because when you're wrapped up in it, sometimes that's hard. But you know, giving yourself permission to do something differently and realizing that next time maybe you should approach it differently or approach it better, you know, having those takeaways from what you learned. So I just thought her presentation was really powerful.
She was excellent.
She was.
Yeah, we interviewed her earlier, and super amazing woman.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then last but not least, kind of a fun one, where do you see technology going in the next 10 years?
So I think that technology is going to continue to be consumer driven. You know, we talked a little bit about AI, right, in one of the panels today, and it was funny because about 18 months ago or 2 years ago on kind of the tech circuit was all about the technical part of AI and the technical part of analytics and making decisions and what you have to do to make that happen. And now it's kind of swung the other direction. It's back to people. It's back to how do you manage the change? How do you manage the innovation? What do people really need to be involved in to make better decisions? So that whole data point is not only for the sake of having a data point, but it's allowing people to use it real time. So as we continue to move forward, I think it's much more about enabling people to do whatever people are trying to do. If they're trying to drive their cars, if they're trying to make it through traffic, if they're trying to enroll their kids in school, you know, whatever it is, making sure that consumers have enough of the business points that they can make decisions real time and at the edge of whatever they're doing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for
You've been
having
fabulous. We appreciate it so much. Thank you again, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
I will. Thank you.